I don't understand. What do you mean? Huh? That doesn't make sense. What? I'm lost. Can you repeat that? That's confusing. Explain that. Say that again. Nothing quite destroys your confidence, credibility, and professionalism like a good old I don't understand. So, what are the alternative advanced phrases being used by professionals worldwide that allow us to boost our professional persona whilst ultimately shielding our confusion from our audience? But before we reveal these advanced upgrades, I want to be clear, this phrase is perfectly fine in the majority of situations outside of the professional arena. When your reputation at work or with your colleagues or clients isn't at stake. When the misunderstanding isn't going to cost you in terms of your credibility. But in the battlegrounds of team meetings, company presentations, and the quick chats with your boss or the line manager, I don't understand really does have a sting to it. So not only are we going to deal with this troublesome phrase, but we're also going to meet the whole family. So without further delay, let's clarify our understanding. First up, I don't understand. Let's get this one out of the way first. We know we can do better here. We need to use something that refocuses the point on the speaker rather than our lack of understanding. So use the phrase, "Could you clarify that point for me?" Using this not only sounds more professional, but it shifts the emphasis back onto the speaker to add more clarity to their answer. Nice. What do you mean? The ugly stepbrother to I don't understand. Again, ultimately, we want to shift that emphasis back onto the speaker and have them lay out more detail around the thing we're struggling to understand. So try using the phrase, "Could you elaborate a bit more on that?" A professional way to get another shot at a better understanding. Huh? Okay, a bit of a cheap shot here, but this sound, not sure it's technically a word, is still lacking on the credibility front when it comes to the workplace. So instead, try, "I'm not sure I follow. Would you mind explaining a bit more?" Nice and smooth while showing you require more clarity. Excellent. That doesn't make sense. This one is definitely a crime of the native professional. It is banded around a lot, but it really leaves a lot of money on the table. Opt for something more advanced, like, "Could you be more specific?" This is a personal favourite of mine, so I would encourage you to use this one extensively. What? Now, we have covered this one previously on the channel, so I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check out a whole host of alternatives that won't land you in hot water. Suffice to say, it should be banned from your professional vocabulary in the majority of circumstances, unless you're deliberately trying to set fire to your professional credibility, of course. Instead, use, "What do you mean by that exactly?" It's short, it's inquisitive, and to the point. Just what's required. "I'm lost." Again, quite a common one amongst the corridors of native English capitals, yet something about the phrase just doesn't scream confidence. So try using, "I'm not quite with you. Could you go over that again?" This is far more appropriate and avoids sounding basic. "Can you repeat that?" Aside from being close to police radio speak, depending on the delivery of this phrase, it could be viewed as confrontational or inflammatory. A better phrase for this one would be, "Would you mind repeating that?" Much softer and, of course, more appropriate. Subtlety is often the unspoken hero of professional communication. That's confusing. Now, in the majority of professional scenarios I can think of, it perhaps would be better not to display outright confusion, so instead go for, "That seems complex. Could you break it down?" A subtle shift allows you to not only appreciate the complexity, but also gives way to requesting more clarity. Explain that. Talk about blunt. As professionals, we should always endeavour to keep our powder dry. You can look that one up later. So remaining polite and professional instead of challenging or potentially confrontational would always be a good initial stance. So try, "Could you unpack that idea for me?" Far smoother, but does exactly the same job. Say that again. Although we have looked at a number of phrases today that could be misunderstood as confrontational, Perhaps none of them are as dangerous as this one. Poorly delivered, one may find themselves facing off in a duel rather than merely having a sentence rephrased for them. So, to avoid this, use "could you put that differently" for a better understanding. This is professional, to the point, and avoids any misunderstandings in terms of delivery. And so the secret sauce here is that with all of these phrases, in the vast majority of situations, you are shifting the responsibility back onto the speaker to have them be clearer about their answer. The result is often 1. A more detailed answer, affording you much more opportunity to get a grasp on the situation, and 2. Different usage of vocabulary, not necessarily easier or more simple, but different. This gives you another bite of the cherry in terms of getting a good understanding. Great professional upgrades, drill them, internalize them, use them.